It was a screensaver featuring Sarah, a character from Blood Indian animation. Rimi Sakihara had been here at this container house just over half a day ago, but now its only occupant was its owner, Michijo Takumi. It was getting close to 5 a.m. Takumi's daily life revolved around playing video games until dawn, then passing out on the sofa. Right now, he was curled up in a cramped position on the sofa. He didn't sleep on the bed. He had one, but he didn't sleep in it because it was piled too high with CDs and manga volumes. At first, he'd just been too lazy to clean it off, and then at some point, it began to function as a storage shelf. Ever since then, he'd been sleeping on the two-person sofa. An awful moan slipped from Takumi's lips. His body was soaked with sweat, and his eyelids were twitching. He must have been having a nightmare. His expression warped with pain. He kept tossing and turning as he lay there, almost falling off. Now this makes me wonder if this narrative that I'm reading in the male voice is actually the girl's thing as she stood over him right now, watching him, just like Monica. Suddenly, his eyes opened wide, and he stared at the ceiling. His eyes were bloodshot, and the eyeballs themselves seemed to be twitching a little. He stood up without blinking even once, and staggered over to his PC. He didn't sit down. Instead, he moved the mouse while standing up. The screensaver on his monitor disappeared, and was replaced by his desktop. His expression, illuminated by the pale light of the monitor, was vacant and empty. His body trembled and shook from side to side. Drool pooled and fell from his mouth. He looked exactly like the typical sleepwalker. He opened up his internet browser in a trance and went to the page for Achan. His movements were slow and uneven, but there was no hesitation in his hands as he went directly for the news board's new gen threads. There were almost 60 in all, and Takumi opened every single one. His gaze was locked on the screen, and he was typing on the keyboard without looking down at it. He typed a message into each of the 60 threads. The messages typed were short ones, and the same message posted in every thread. Whose eyes are those? The next day, I headed to the hospital. Last time I hadn't been able to get the assurance I wanted, but today I was going to make them tell me I was sane. I was going to have the doctor remember me. I was going to tell him that I was his patient until 4 years ago, and then I was going to have him listen to everything I had to say. I wasn't the crazy one. It was the demon girl and Misumi. I knew that's what he would tell me. This hospital opened at 8, earlier than a lot of them. That's why I decided to come right on time, only to find the lobby sofas packed with old people. That's a bit like me when I go to the gym. I get there and if the doors have just opened and all the machines are occupied. How did you get there so fast? How? How could there be this many people here when it had just opened? Had they all cheated and got in before it opened somehow? That's not fair. I was angry, but I didn't have any choice but to wait. It was after an hour of waiting that I realised I should have made an appointment. But very shortly after, they called my name, and I was relieved to see that I wouldn't have to wait as long as last time. But the doctor waiting for me in the exam room wasn't Dr. Takashina, but a white-haired old man I'd never seen before. Where's Dr. Takashina? The nurse standing by him, Hatsuki I think, answered apologetically. Dr. Takashina isn't here. Isn't here? He collapsed from all the work last weekend. He's been out the whole week. Oh no. My one ally. Wait. Was it really overwork that made him collapse? Yeah. It's conspiracy. It's the demon girl.
Nishijo-san?
Nishijo? She must have poisoned his food or sent him a threatening letter to stress him out. It was the demon girl's doing. She was trying to isolate me. I had no intention of letting anybody but Dr. Takashina talk to me. So instead of getting an exam, I fled from the hospital. Damn it all. I leaned up against the fence on the roof and looked up at the sky. Shibuya's sky was an ugly colour. I should stay away from that hospital from now on. Oh yes, we're getting paranoid, people. The demon girl's net was closing in on me. Maybe there was nowhere for me to run. Maybe that detective I'd met yesterday was actually a fake and working for her. Maybe she'd used him to test me. I mean, the timing was just too good to be a coincidence. She'd showed up in my room right after the two of them had approached me. She was a demon, after all. She wasn't human. She could easily control somebody's mind. I didn't have any proof of this, of course. But also, I didn't have any proof that she wasn't a demon. So I just had to assume the worst if I was going to survive. Wasn't there anybody on my side? Everybody felt like my enemy. Everybody felt like they were working for the demon girl. Save me. Somebody save me. Why didn't I have anybody on my side? Why was no one helping me? Why did this happen to me? I felt so lonely. I wanted something to support me. Someone to protect me. Something to protect me. Anything. Anybody who could offer me help. Find it. Quickly. The sword. Find it. And you'll be saved. Suddenly, I remembered those words. The sword. If this was a video game, the plot would probably involve me being a hero who needed to find the legendary sword to defeat a demon king. Oddly enough, I'd heard the word sword from 2 3D girls lately, and there was still a chance that FES was on my side. Girl B Senna, I think, was likely on the side of the demon girl from the way she'd acted though. A sword. Sword. Get the sword and then... I whispered to myself as if I was in a trance. I was willing to cling to any hope now, no matter how small. If I could just get the sword, I would be released from this nightmare. I didn't know that for sure, but I had to hope. I didn't 100% believe Fess when she said that it would bring me salvation. But I didn't have any other options. I decided to just look into it and see what I found. I ran a search online. First, I checked to see if there were any anime where characters had swords like the one Fess and Senna had, but I didn't find any. I must have seen that coming. I always kept an eye on upcoming anime. There were 30 or 40 each season, so it was pretty hard, but I always watched the first episode of each series and then decided I was just going to continue it. And of course, I could watch anything that was on satellite TV using YouTube. Yes, YouTube, people, that's right. The dark ages where any episode ended up on YouTube for a week, before everyone was banhammered. So there was no way I could have missed one. And I hadn't seen any anime with weird swords, especially ones with such a distinctive shape. I would have been sure to remember them if they'd showed up and I didn't remember seeing anything like them at all. Unless, of course, I'd been controlled by somebody else when I watched the show. Next, I decided to search for the swords themselves, not anime. Crap. It's all video game walkthrough sites. Some of the swords that came up in the results were ones I recognised well. Like ESO's Shangri-La Edge. I wasn't getting anywhere. Now, Shangri-La Edge, I don't think it is, but it could be a reference to Soul Edge, which was found in the original game Soul Edge itself, and then its spin-off series afterwards called Soul Calibur. It could be a reference to that, but I doubt it. It seems too neat. I needed to find that sword, and fast. I had a feeling that Sailor Girl had said something like more specific. What was it? Remember. Remember, or you'll be stuck in this nightmare forever.
答えろ。見えるんだな。
Answer me. You can see it, right?
ディソードが。
The D sword.
ディソード。
D sword. Right. The D sword. I searched for that word. And I got hits. Just two, but these two links felt like the path that would save me. So we had D sword, which is a fancy term we key Animesia by as a sort of negative darkness unleashed on the world. Negative darkness, so do you mean light? Called the D sword. A fictional weapon said to be created in the ancient ages of Europe by Gladiael, king of the wicked hearts, made by feeding on humanity's negative emotions. So negative emotions are somehow not dark, or is that a mistranslation? They eventually came to devour the hearts of black knights who took them. None shall pass! None shall pass! What makes them distinct from other sacred or magical swords is that they are said to be... And then finally, some guy, I bought a D-sword. Blog of a bored guy. Yeah, I bought a sword. It's called a D-sword, I heard. I just love how freaking weird it is. Town Vanguard is my heart's oasis. These days you don't many stands as weird as that outside of Akihabara. And that's where that site ends. Desperately trying to calm my excitement, and I had to click on the top one first. Oh shit, it's down! Damn it! Why did it have to be a dead link? Yes, 404 not found. Oh yes, the deadly 404 error, people. No, I needed to calm down. I just had to go back and click on the cache version. Yes. God bless Google Cache. There is sometimes great things found, and it's all in Japanese text. So the chances are a lot of this has actually been mistranslated. The page had an illustration. It was based off a description of an old text, supposedly. And a Wikipedia link going down, I think that's a first. I don't know if any Wikipedia page has been taken down.
元ネタは伝承か。
So it's from some old legend. Yeah, so we go to the Black Knights who took them. So the rest of the article says, what makes them distinct from other sacred or magical swords is that they are said to be invisible. An unarmed warrior would wave his hand, and just as in the tales of Kamitachi, their foe's arm would be cut clean from their body and fall to the ground without them so much as feeling it. There are many tales in the old legends of weapons like this which defied natural law, and the D-swords themselves appear in several apocrypha and ancient texts. The D-swords are considered to be another instance of the Kamaitachi phenomenon. Kamaitachi are fictional creatures, often depicted as monsters with sharp scythes on their forelegs, but this is best understood as an attempt to depict them as ancient and imagined them. They are in fact creatures with little physical form, like wind spirits. Modern science has investigated the Kamaitachi phenomenon, and scientists now believe it originated in a phenomenon seen in places with dry air, where a vacuum state is formed that can cut skin. In space, no one can hear your arm cut off, apparently.
でも、セナって女が持ってたのに比べると。
Yeah, but it's not nearly as cool looking as the one that Sailor Girl had. Why did it have to be such a minor weapon anyway? Why couldn't it be Excalibur or the Black Blade of Kusanagi or something else big and famous, like Masamune, for example, or Excalibur? Meanwhile, for the Gladiael saga, it says it's a fictional novel based on Eastern European legends of Gladiael by the King of Wicked Hearts. The 23-volume high fantasy series depicts the war between 7 Black Knights and Gladiael, written by R.C.O. Ziegler, published between 1929 and 1951, translated into several languages but commercially unsuccessful due to its complex writing style. All volumes are out of print in Japan and difficult to find. No, this wasn't the time to complain. Whether it was famous or not, if it was going to save me, I didn't care. I just had to look into it a bit more. I tried the second link on the search page. The phrase, I bought a D-sword, stood out to me. Could you buy D-swords? The author was evidently a man, which meant it wasn't Demon Girl or Sena. And they certainly didn't have the same writing style as Shogun. Either they were a different person entirely, or the person writing the blog was deliberately disguising their writing style. There was no way to tell from here, so I stopped reading. The store on the page referred to, Town Vanguard, was evidently in Shibuya. It felt like too much of a coincidence. Or maybe I was being paranoid. Well, maybe the reason I'd run into two girls carrying D-swords in Shibuya was that the place selling them was here. Weird things got popular with small subgroups of people here in Shibuya all the time, right? I searched for Town Vanguard, but I couldn't find the store's page. I did find a page with a map, so I downloaded it. If they didn't have a public page, they probably didn't have an online store either. I searched the Taboo auction site as well, but didn't find anything. Yes, of course, Taboo being Yahoo. I'd have to go to the store directly to see for myself. I didn't really want to leave the house, but...
剣は手に入れなくちゃ。手に入れないとダメなんだ。
I need the sword. I need the sword. At this point, it felt like the one good option I had for fighting off the demon girl. I didn't know what exactly I would do once I got the sword. I didn't have the courage to try to kill her with it or anything. But something inside me made me think that if I got the sword, maybe I'd feel just a little less afraid. That was it. The D-sword was like a good little charm. Something to keep me going. There was something strangely compelling about it. The store was somewhere near Cat Street, it looked like. Cat Street was a twisted street that ran alongside Major Street, the main connection between Shibuya and Harajuku. I'd heard once it was originally a river that got filled in. There were a lot of theories as to why it was called Cat Street. Some said it was because there were a lot of strays there. Others said it's because the street was known as narrow as a cat's forehead. A common expression in Japanese. Not that I cared either way. Cat Street was a good distance from here. It would take at least 15 to 20 minutes to get there. A bike would get me there faster, of course, but I didn't have one. I didn't want to go anywhere near the station, so I had to go through Shoto and cut across Miyashita Park. I walked a little fast across the bridge over Major Street. I was finally here. I was in such a hurry that I was starting to get frustrated at how long I was taking. And I've actually been to that street. I recognise it. Because, believe it or not, this little red parking space here, I once saw a 1943 Cadillac parked there. I put a photo of it on social media. It was gorgeous. Cat Street was, compared to Central Street, much quieter and felt more like Harajuku than Shibuya. All the stores were selling osare clothes, the kind I'd never had any interest in. Die, sheeple. Ooh, sheeple, that's a nice word. I like that word myself. But apparently osare is Japanese net slang meaning hip or fashionable. So it's like a hipster clothing store, basically. I could tell I was out of place as I walked down the street, and I got more and more upset. This was totally outside my usual territory. There were a lot more couples here than there were in Centre Street. I could tell they were all window shopping, lol. Trying to show off because they didn't actually have any money. Losers. I almost regretted coming, but I choked those feelings down and told myself I needed to get the sword. Which begs the question, why would a weird niche sword selling shop be in the middle of a fashionable clothes row? It'd stick out like a sore thumb. I walked as fast as I could, face glued to the map, trying to avoid making eye contact with the people around me as I headed to my destination. Town Vanguard was down a narrow side street off Cat Street.
ここか。
So, this is it. One step down a side street and the whole place felt very different. The alley was narrow, cramped and dirty, much too small for a car to travel down. The buildings were all old, traditional wooden houses or empty stores with their shutters pulled down, and all the shutters had graffiti sprayed on them too. Or as we call it here in the UK, any traditional high street. That's what our high streets are like now. You see, even if Cat Street looked fancy with its luxury brand storefronts, that was all just fake. This dingy alley was the real Cat Street. Behind the facade, it was nothing but garbage and run-down old buildings. Of course, I didn't like the backside any more than the facade. I wasn't any more at home here than on the main street. I only had one home. ESO. Town Vanguard turned out to be a smaller and gloomier shop than I'd expected. I could tell why the blogger who'd mentioned it had called it underground. There was a sign reading open, but it clearly didn't seem busy. Going inside felt really hard. I was too much of a wimp to go into a fast food place all by myself. How could I go into such a creepy looking place? I wanted to go home. No, I needed the sword. What was I supposed to do? I went back and forth outside the shop for a while. There was absolutely no one else in the dark alley. I spent 30 minutes wandering around, trying to muster up the courage to go in, and not a single soul came by. Many times, I almost felt brave enough to go in, only to give up at the last second. But I couldn't give up and go home empty-handed. This was the only place I could get a D-sword. But my instincts weren't willing to let me go inside. I had a delusion where the shopkeeper came out to meet me. Of course, she was a cute maid, and she spoke to me in an anime voice. She knew exactly what I wanted, and offered me a D-sword with a friendly smile. "Please, take this sword, master!" Ugh, I could be just such a horn dog sometimes. Everything would be so much easier if that happened, I told myself. And maybe my wish was heard by someone, because a 3D girl did come out of the shop. Her outfit wasn't anything like I'd expected though. It was some kind of ethnic clothing. It looked really flashy, but the girl herself seemed really gloomy. She had long hair done up in an afro, tied up in a bandana with a strange, eerie design on it. She said she'd gotten sick of watching me wander around outside her store, and so came out to check on me. My delusion hadn't become reality. Well, of course, that could never happen. Before I knew it, she dragged me inside the store despite my reluctance. I hadn't even had time to say no. Now, this is actually kind of cool. It's all kind of like European and African, because you've got the European suit of armor here. You've also got the kind of like European clock timepiece up here, but then you've got much more traditional long spears, javelins here. And these lights kind of give off a more Moroccan vibe, as do these pots. So that's kind of cool. But of course, because it's Japan, we still have a rice cooker for no reason. Because it wouldn't be in the middle of a store like that. Unless it was on sale, maybe. I'd ended up inside. I'd overcome the first hurdle, at least. But what if the store was actually owned by the demon girl, and the whole D-sword thing was a plot to lure me here? I could be killed at any minute. I looked around the dimly lit shop. There were no other customers. The air was stale, and there was a thin haze. It smelled like a mix of cigarette smoke and mold. Ugh. Moldy cigarette smoke. I'm guessing that's his failure to interpret incense. That's what I think that's going to be. 5 minutes in here and I'd probably be ready to throw up. I could see what looked like merchandise, but I couldn't tell if it was for sale or not. Apart from this big sale sign here. Maybe it's just me. It was all placed randomly throughout the store, and to tell the truth, it might have all been garbage. It certainly didn't have price tags on it. And I realised after I got inside that there were a lot of adult porno toys too. There were things you saw in a lot of... I'm not saying that. I tried not to look at them. This place must have been some kind of adult knick-knack shop. Despite how eager she was to get me inside, once I was past the door, the woman quickly ignored me. She sat down on her stool next to the register and smoked a cigarette. And in Japan, a lot of places still legalize indoor smoking. That's a genuine thing. You go to the arcades, they still have ashtrays next to the machines. Or at least they did when I was there 10 years ago. Things might have changed. So this haze was at least partly her fault then. I hadn't even been inside for a whole minute, but a combination of nervousness and embarrassment, as well as how sick I was feeling, was making me sweat hard. I wanted to get out of here as soon as possible. Time to find the D-sword, and fast. I walked toward the back, looking at the shelves as I went. I quickly found the fantasy weapons corner the blog I'd recently read about had talked about. This one part of the store stood out from the rest. There were several toys lined up carefully in a display. The toys themselves all looked cheap. Actually, I realised they were mostly just different coloured lightsabers. Some of them were so cheaply made that they were obviously fakes. I wasn't sure if they'd even light up. The light-up shurikens the blog had talked about was sold out, it seemed. That was kind of a surprise. But there was one thing mixed in with the lightsabers that was very clearly different from the others. Just one look at it and I recognised it as a D-sword. It was just like the one I'd seen online. I picked it up. It was lighter than I'd expected. What was it made out of? Soft plastic? There was no blade. The edge was smooth. I ran my finger along it, and of course, it didn't hurt at all. Compared to the ones that Sena and Fest had, it didn't have any weight or a complex design, and certainly wasn't sharp. Maybe it was a fake. I was a little worried, but this was the only thing in the shop that could possibly be a D-sword. Did this even light up? The one Fess had been swinging around at the concert had some kind of glass embedded in the blade, which had lit up with a pale light. It was really cool, but there was no glass on the one I was holding. Maybe I should just give up on buying it. This D-sword was such a piece of junk that I was ready to give up, even after coming all the way here. But...
見つけて早く剣を
Find it. Quickly. The sword.
そうすれば君は救われるわ
Find it. And you'll be saved. I remembered Fess's words. Right. If I didn't buy it here, I wouldn't have any clue as to where to get another one. Maybe it just looked cheap, and when it recognised its rightful owner, it would suddenly transform into someone with incredible power. Maybe I'd just seen too much anime and manga. Yes, you had. But Sena and Fess have both had D-swords that seem to possess a strange strength. Maybe this sword would turn out to be the same. Oh, what should I do? As I stood there, uncertain, the clerk came up behind me. She grinned a gloomy smile and pointed at the D-sword. 10,000 yen, and I'll throw in a little bonus, she whispered. I was so stunned at how cheap it was, I couldn't believe my ears. I had some decent savings built from my R&T business. 10,000 yen was cheap enough that all I had to do was pass on buying a single figure. When I heard the price, and also that it was the last one the store had, I bought it immediately. The bonus was a cheap bangle bracelet. Total garbage. And yet, as soon as you put the bright bangle on, the sword will power up and transform people. The true nightmare began once I bought the sword. Town Vanguard didn't ship. You had to walk home with anything you bought. Even if it was a toy, the idea of carrying this huge sword across the middle of Shibuya was enough to quench any excitement I felt. I'd already paid though, and the clerk steadfastly refused to return my money. Bought a sword. This was going to be incredibly humiliating. Dude, with some of the costumes I've worn to conventions, no it's not. And if you know, you know. I had to walk down some of the most fashionable streets in Tokyo holding a giant sword. Again, places I've had to go in some of the costumes I've worn. Trust me. Of course, the DQN covers of well-dressed ladies all chuckled at me as they walked by. Oh, damn it. I wish they'd all die. I headed home, delusions filling my mind of me swinging the sword wildly and murdering everyone in the street. I was finally home. I started running once I'd gotten close, and I was out of breath by the time I got to the base. The cold gazes of the people I passed by had really stung. I don't know how Sena managed to endure this humiliation. It was something I could respect in a way. There was no way I could do it. Huh? Suddenly I heard a sound from the other side of the base. Was someone here? I froze and gasped. I remembered the smile I'd seen on the face of the demon girl who'd called herself Rimi. Maybe she'd come back. This time maybe she'd come to kill me. What should I do? Run? I could sense the presence of someone in front of me. The setting sun cast someone's shadow on the ground. It was clearly the silhouette of a woman. I quickly raised my D-sword. Holding it in my hands like this, I realised what a piece of crap it really was. The one Sena had held had a strange power, and felt an intensity about it. But mine didn't seem to have anything like that. Maybe it was a fake after all. Could I really fight with this thing? No chance. Even if it was real, I still couldn't actually fight someone with it. Holding it in my hands, it felt weirdly heavy. Maybe I was holding it wrong. It didn't feel like something I could actually swing like a weapon. The shadow suddenly began to move. It was coming closer.
来るな
Stay away from me! I closed my eyes, thrusting the sword out in front of me at a random angle. Not that I expected to hurt anybody with it, but I had a faint hope that this horde could maybe, just maybe, help me. But then, nothing happened. My foe didn't say a word. Maybe the D-Sword had annihilated a demon girl with a single swing. If so, that'd be incredible.
兄、その剣何？
Brother, what's that sword? Huh? I opened my eyes. But instead of the demon girl, I saw Nanami. She was looking at me with contempt in her eyes. The tension drained from my body. I collapsed where I stood.
お前脅かすなよ
Don't scare me like that. This was just awful. She was an awful sister. What kind of awful sister likes to entertain herself by scaring her brother? I mean, this guy's massively overreacting. At least it seems that way to me. Who the hell did she think she was anyway? This was why 3D girls would always be inferior to 2D ones. What an arsehole.
別に脅かしてないよ。いつもみたいにお兄の生存確認しに来てあげたんじゃん。なのに
I wasn't trying to
い
scare
ない
you.
もん
I just came to see if you were alive, like I always do. But you weren't here.
なんでナナが30分もお兄のこと心配しながら待ってなくちゃいけないわけ？ナナの貴重な時間が無駄に消えてっちゃったじゃん。お兄のバカ。
That's why 30 minutes standing here worrying about you. I wasted a lot of valuable time because of you. Brother, you jerk!
Worry? She was worried about me? I refused to be fooled by such an obvious lie.
ね、どこ行ってたの？出かけるなんて珍しいじゃん。携帯にかけても繋がんないし。
So, where'd you go? You almost never leave your room, and you weren't picking up your phone either.
I left my phone in the base. I knew nobody would call me, so there was no point in taking it.
そもそも、その剣何なの？
What's that sword, anyway?
もしかして買ってきたの？
Did you buy it just now?
She was staring at the sword, looking a little confused.
あ、わかった。アニメのおもちゃかなんかでしょ？ほんと、お兄ってオタクさんだね。
Oh, I get it. It's some kind of anime toy, right? You really are an otaku.
しかもこのおもちゃ、ちっとも似合ってないよ。
You look ridiculous with it, too.
I mean, I can't argue with Nanami here. I've carried large props around, and yes, you do look ridiculous. As long as you don't do anything dangerous with them. There was a cosplayer in London who was dressed in full tactical military gear, carrying a toy sniper rifle, which he stupidly pointed at a train. The cops had words with him, and are not surprised.
さっきだってへっぴり腰で構えちゃってて。思い出したら笑えてきた。
You looked so wimpy a minute ago when you were holding it. I'm just laughing thinking about it.
I ignored Nanami and opened the padlock on my room, then tried to head inside.
ちょっと、無視すんな。
Hey, don't ignore me.
帰れ
Leave. You know I'm alive. Now go home. She was always making fun of me and did nothing but complain every time she came here. If she really hated it that much, then she should just leave. I still didn't want to hear.
あのね、わざわざ様子見に来てあげてんだから、もっとありがたがってよ。
Listen, I came all this way to make sure you were okay. Would it kill you to show a little gratitude?
せっかくお土産まで持ってきたのに。
I even brought you a present.
She pouted at me. Yes, there's the typical anime pout people. The your wife who was disappointed in you look. Although she's his sister, so if you think she's his waifu, get help. Now.
お土産
A present?
そう、お母さんが持ってけって。ほら。
Yep. Mum said to bring it to you. Here.
she handed me some mandarin oranges. 10 or so in a red net bag. Yes, your mom wanted to get you vitamin C because you're too long in a dingy container. It wasn't a great present. I'd eat mandarins if they're any lying around, but they weren't exactly a favourite of mine.
というわけでナナもちょっと一服したいから一緒に食べてあげる。
Anyway, I want to rest a little before I go, so we'll eat them with
帰
you.
れ。
Go home.
もう妹がお土産持ってきてしかも一緒に食べてあげるって言ってるんだよ。もっと喜びなよ。
I can't believe you. Your little sister is here with a present and she's offering to eat it with you. You should be happy.
What was there to be happy about? Why would I want to eat oranges with my little sister anyway? That's a sentence I never thought I'd say out loud because I'm not sure what he's trying to get at with that. Shiva just wanted to eat some herself. She always was a big eater. She used to always eat my food too. We got in fights about it all the time. Nanami went inside the base, ignoring my protests. I had no choice but to follow. You could just leave. That's a choice.
お茶ある？あったかいのがいいな。
Candy tea? I'd like something hot.
Of course not. I only drink soda. Nanami sat down on the sofa and took out an orange. I sighed and set the D sword up against my computer desk. I didn't need the bangle, so I tossed it off into a
あ
corner.
れ？それ何？
Huh? What's that?
Nanami quickly picked it up off the floor.
へえ、かわいいバングルじゃん。
Huh? This is cute.
Yep, and if you look at that design there with all the things, if I'm right, my ridiculous theory might well be true. Activate, put that on, and it activates the sword.
これも買ってきたの？お兄にしてはいいセンス。
Did you buy this too? It's actually pretty nice, particularly for something you bought.
Cute? Ow! It was just a cheap thing, probably not worth more than 500 yen. Nanami just had terrible taste. I ignored her and took a seat at my desk, grabbing an orange as I did so.
ねえねえ、なんでこれ捨てちゃうの？
Hey, are you going to throw this away?
だっていらないし。
Well, I don't need
うー
it.
ん。
Uh,
じゃあさ、これナナにちょうだい。
okay, give it to me then.
はあ？
Huh?
いいじゃん。どうせ捨てるならさ。
You don't mind, right? You were just going to throw it away.
たまにはお兄ちゃんらしく妹にプレゼントの一つでもしてよ。
You should act like a real big brother for once and give your little sister a present.
I must have been an awful big brother. Aside from birthdays and Christmas, I did not give gifts. It's not a present, it's just some junk you want.
勝手に持ってけば。
Fine, take it.
本当？やったー。
Really? Yay!
She was certainly easy to please. As soon as I gave the okay, she quickly put the bangle on her arm. Such a cheap little sister, enjoying such a cheap gift.
お兄、どう？似合う？
Well, brother, does it look good on me?
全然。
Not at all.
あっそ。
Oh,
お
okay.
兄のバーカ。
Brother, you jerk.
I gave her a present, right? So why would she treat me like this? What kind of little sister calls a big brother a jerk? I mean, one who has a jerk as a big brother. Why did she want to do that? Go play one of them. In these games, there's usually a route involving the sister. So encouraging her to do that is requesting something that I'm not going to dignify. Moving on.
ヒヒバーカ。
Jack!
She was smiling too. I was really getting
これ
angry.
気に入っちゃったからもう返さないもんね。
I like this, so I'm not giving it
って
back.
いうか、お兄からプレゼントもらうなんて初めてのような気がする。
Actually, this may be the first time you've given me a
し
present.
ょうがないから大事にしてあげるよ。
I guess I'll just take care of it then.
Whatever. Nobody asked you to. I didn't even buy it for you.
もう用は済んだんだから帰れ。
Anyway, you're done, right? So leave.
僕は暇じゃないんだ。邪魔するな。
I'm busy. Don't get in my way.
うん。
Suddenly she looked upset.
そんな言い方しなくてもいいじゃん。
You don't have to be so mean, do you?
Cue the video. No, if you want to see that, go check out at Queen 3210 over here on YouTube. You want to see what I'm talking about with that. Particularly the Phoenix Wright episodes, it crops up in there. You can also, of course, go and check out at ChrisJT1985 to see more of his Star Wars Outlaws and many more videos on the way. That Disney duology looks like it's going to be fun. For me watching.
それにみかんまだ食べてないしお茶もまだ出してもらってないよ
I haven't eaten my oranges yet, and you haven't given me my tea.
おめえに飲ませるお茶はね
Ooh. I don't have any tea for the likes of you.
か
She glared at me, shoulders heaving with rage. Eventually, her eyes started to tear up.
わかったよそんなに邪魔なら帰る
Fine. If I'm really bothering you that much, then I'll
え
leave.
ああさっさと頼む
Yeah. Go.
お兄のバカお兄なんてみかんの皮で目つぶし食らって失明しちゃ
Brother, you jerk! I hope you get an orange peel in your eye and go
え
blind.
そうバングルは返さないかんねバカ
And I'm not giving back this bangle either, jerk!
Her high-pitched yell echoed through the room as she grabbed her bag and flew out the door with incredible speed. At last, the storm was finally over. Every time I talked to Nanami, I felt exhausted. Why did she keep coming when she knew how much I didn't like it? Read the room. He can talk.
ファーストメルトは期待以上の結果に終わりました。
Well, now, this is a sudden shift, isn't it? The first melt ended with better results than expected.
GE レートの上昇率は当初の予測からわずかな誤差があった程度です。
The increase in the GE rate showed only a minor deviation from initial projections.
バイオリズムコントロールも順調なのかね
And the biorhythm control is going well, too. Biorhythm sounds like rhythm of the body? Yeah, a graph which shows cyclical changes in a person's physical, sensitive, and intellectual states. It's commonly said that on a day when people's biorhythms are high, they're in a good mood and able to focus and perform well. On days when they're low, the opposite occurs. So if they're reading biorhythms, this suggests that they're getting readings on a human body, which implies that someone is being observed and they're in a deep emotional state, which again implies, assuming this is where the game's going on this particular route, that our character is not conscious and that this is all some kind of matrixy kind of like dream state kind of thing. And while we're here, we'll do a quick save.
渋谷の GE レートは他のエリアと比べて高い値を持っていると同時に安定性についても特筆したものがあります。
Shibuya's GE rate is higher than in other areas, and it's especially stable too. Ah, so they're casting it over an entire area. So it's not that. I'm kind of relieved if that's the case.
それゆえに意図的に操作しやすいということか。そして渋谷にいる人々のバイオリズムを急激に引き上げることもまた。
And that makes it easier to manipulate. And in addition, to drastically raise the people of Shibuya's
実験
biorhythms.
結果についてはレポートをご参照ください。納得していただける成果を上げております。
Please see the report for the results of our experiments. You'll be satisfied, I'm sure.
貴様が成果を出すのは当然だそのために高い金と多くの人材を提供しているのだからな
It's only natural you deliver results, given the amount of money and manpower we're offering you.
実効性については理解しているよ。この数ヶ月だけでも我が会の信者が数倍に膨れ上がっているからね。
I understand its effectiveness well. My church has found its believers growing exponentially over the past few months.
それではプロジェクトノアは次の段階へと進ませます。よろしいですね。
Project Noah will advance to the next stage then. Will that be alright? So now we know why it's called Chaos Head Noah, people. There's Project Noah, which is biblical. Noah is in Noah's Ark, suggesting there's something to do with going outside Shibuya. Whether that's off-world, alternate world, or something else is another matter indeed.
コードサンプルの件はどうするのだすでに3人分は確保したとはいえ目標数値には達しておらんではないか
What about the code sample? We secured the 3 people, but we're not the target number, are we?
いかにも。数値達成のためには最低でも5人分はなければ厳しい。
Indeed. We need a minimum of 5. 5 people with D swords tuned in a different way. Maybe. Because bear in mind, Fess said we'd be saved. And that's a common concept in religion.
サンプル保持者は集まりつつあります。あとは採取するのみ。
The sample holders are steadily gathering. All that's left is to take them when we need them.
ならばその件は任せる。
I'll leave it in your hands then.
信仰の救いあれ。くれぐれも慎重にことを進めるように。
May the divine light save us. Go about your efforts with the utmost caution.
はい。心得ております。
Yes, I am aware.
そろそろ寝るか。
I think it's time to sleep. I bit back a yawn and looked over at my PC's block. It was showing 5 AM. I spent the whole night grinding in ESO and hadn't gotten the rare item I wanted. 8 hours of work and nothing. Well, it happened a lot. It's kind of like walking around a house where the doors change every day and you're hunting for the lever you need to activate the secret room and find the mystery of your inheritance. You want to know more? Go check out Queen 32 Tan's Let's Play of Blueprints, a game that's been driving me insane. I looked over at the side of my computer desk. The D-sword I bought yesterday was still there. It was close enough that I could grab it at any time. It hadn't glowed at all, for what it was worth. I was hoping that at some point it would transform into an awesome weapon like the one Sena had. On the monitor, Grimm's avatar had just leveled up. My Nightheart was max level, so he wouldn't level up again. As I rubbed my tired eyes, I wondered if it was time to make a 3rd character after Lisa Latt. I found myself thinking about experience points. It was something you saw a lot in video games, but the way I saw it, there were experience points in the real world too. When I'd started ESO, I'd been a completely clueless newbie, but now I was Baselard's famous lightning-fast Nightheart, the game's ultimate warrior. So for instance, was it possible that some of the person inside me's experience points had been reset somehow? Maybe that's why I'd forgotten things that I should have known. Maybe that's where the weird inconsistencies in my memories had come from. Like with Shogun or the Demon Girl. Before I'd lost my experience points, I, that is the person inside me, had used the nickname Shogun in the chat. Maybe the Demon Girl, Rimi, had been a big part of my life too, and I wasn't a friendless otaku. Nah, that was going too far. But maybe before, I'd had some kind of incredible power that would have let me fight the Demon Girl. I wondered if I was the only person who could come up with an idea like this. Not that it really seemed strange to me. Humans could only ever judge things by standards they created for themselves. Did that mean it was possible that I, and not just me, but everyone else in the world, was wrong about everything? When I was little, I'd gone to the dentist, and they'd said to me, "You did a great job, not crying when it hurt so much." Back then I felt kind of proud for enduring the pain, like I'd done something special. But looking back, they were probably judging how much pain I was in by looking at how bad the cavity was. But maybe the same level of pain was really bad for some people, and not so much for others. Maybe the way people felt things or sensed things was totally different. Take giving birth, for instance. I'd seen a lot of people online, for instance, saying that women could handle the pain but men couldn't. I'm not touching this one. I'm not even going to go near it. What about marathon runners? Maybe what made them special wasn't their stamina, but the way they could endure pain. And I'm leaving that one right where it is. Maybe everyone had different ways of experiencing their senses, and different levels that they could endure. Maybe the toothaches and headaches that I sometimes had to put up with were a level of pain beyond what an ordinary person could handle. And if I could pass that pain to them somehow, they'd die on the spot from shock. All this speculation left me with the selfish delusion that I was somehow special.
特殊な人間か。っていうか、何を大げさな。
So, I'm special, huh? Nah, no way. I denied it, but I'm sure it was a delusion everybody shared. Every man wants to be the strongest in the world. Everybody wants to think they're special, chosen. They want to believe a dramatic future filled with adventure is waiting for them, like on TV or in the movies. The desire to be a hero, I guess you could call it. It was childish, really. Of course, I had that same desire. Maybe it was my destiny in life to defeat the demon girl. Of course, if someone actually told me to do it, I'd have several conditions. I'd need cheat codes, obviously, like God mode for one thing, or invincibility. I didn't want to be scared or get hurt. Go on then, let's look what it says for cheat codes. Yep, term from computer gaming. It's supposed to win some breaking the rules. In gaming, it refers to the tools or other methods to modify the game data. Some games in recent years also include cheat modes by default, and so-called cheat codes are another method of cheating, such as wearing certain rings in Final Fantasy XVI. Something I did with no shame whatsoever to get the final trophy for the platinum. And you shouldn't be ashamed of it either. If I couldn't have that, in other words, if I had to do it right now, I would absolutely refuse. Which meant that if the person inside me's experience points had been reset, I might be at a big disadvantage. I was almost late today. Maybe staying up till dawn and play games before school day was a mistake. Yes it was. I had to run to make it in time. When I arrived outside my classroom, I paused to catch my breath. I didn't want to do anything to attract attention from my classmates. Being late was a potentially fatal mistake. If any DQNs took an interest in me, my life was over. I slowly walked into the classroom. My head was pointed toward the ground and I avoided looking at anyone. Of course, I didn't give anyone a cheery good morning. I tried to make myself as invisible as possible as I headed for my seat. That was how I always did things. Like usual, I reached my seat without any issues and sat down. I quickly put my head on the desk. Now I'd be safe for the rest of homeroom. Or so I thought, until I was lightly tapped on the back.
よ、タク。今週は3回も学校来てんじゃねえか。真面目だな。
Hey Taku, you came to school 3 whole times this week. You're turning into a teacher's pet. Oh, Misumi again. I sighed, but it wouldn't be right to ignore him. I began to raise my head and stopped. Was this Misumi? Really Misumi? 2 days ago I called him like the demon girl had told me to, but something had been very wrong. He'd acted like the demon girl was in our class. That was impossible. Maybe the demon girl had brainwashed him, or maybe become someone else entirely.
おい、どうした？早くも爆睡モードか？
Hey, what's wrong? You in sleep mode already? A loud electronic noise echoed through the classroom. I felt a slight vibration near my chest. It was my phone. Damn it! Why now of all times? What kind of idiot would call at a time like this? Why was it playing the ringtone when I'd set it to vibrate? Maybe I messed up the settings.
鳴ってるぞ、タク。
Hey, your phone's ringing, Taku. I know that. Should I answer now? But if I did, Misumi would know that I wasn't asleep. And I didn't like answering the phone anyway. If I didn't answer though, it would annoy the rest of the class. Having my phone's ringtone drown out the rest of the classroom was bad. I needed to stay invisible. This was really bad.
おーい、出ないのか？マジで寝てる？
Hey, you're not going to answer? Are you actually asleep? But now I'd missed my chance. I couldn't move. Suddenly the sound and vibration stopped. It must have gone to voicemail. I let out a sigh of relief, being careful not to let Misumi hear me. I was glad I'd learned how to set up voicemail.
なあ、タク。相手は誰だ？まさか女か？この前一緒に帰ったあのメガネの子だろ。そうなんだろ？
Hey, Taku! Who was that? A girl? If it's the girl you were walking home with, isn't it? It is, right? Shut up. I'm already attracted too much attention because of the phone call. Please, just leave me alone. Was Misumi always this annoying? He always was too friendly, but he hadn't always been this annoying. Right?
やめなよ。
Leave him alone! That voice. It was coming. From right next to Misumi.
そっとしておいてあげたら、大臣。
Just leave him alone, Daichin.
なんだか疲れてるみたいだし。
He seems like he's tired.
She was in this classroom, acting like she belonged here.
どうせゲームのやりすぎだろ。
He was probably up all night playing video games, right?
お前、タクに甘すぎるぜ。
You're too nice to him.
だって大臣は女の敵だし、そういう人には優しくしません。
Well, you're an enemy to women everywhere, so I'm not nice to you, that's all.
She was talking like she belonged here. She was fitting in, like she belonged here. I was too scared to look up. I didn't want to admit that girl was there.
別にお前に優しくしてもらわなくても、俺には優しくしてくれる女はたくさんいるんだよ。
Well, even if you're not nice to me, I know lots of girls who will be.
だからそういう発言が良くないんだってば。彼女さんが聞いたら泣くよ。
That's exactly what I'm talking about. If your girlfriend heard you say that, she'd cry.
今の大臣の彼女が誰だかわかんないけど。
Not that I have any idea who your girlfriend is right now, though.
ほら、チャイム鳴った。先生来るよ。
Anyway, the bell rang. The teacher's coming.
Had the demon girl really always been my classmate? No, that was impossible. She wasn't here 2 days ago. Misuma was the only one who talked to me that day. And I hadn't come yesterday. And now she was here today. How had she worked her way in? As the classroom homeroom chime rang, everybody headed back to their seats. I fearfully looked up, trying to see as much as I could without moving my head. I wanted that voice to be a hallucination. And for that to happen, I needed to prove she wasn't in this room. I didn't see her. I didn't see the girl. Maybe it was a hallucination. My seat was in the 5th row. There were 9 rows in all. She wasn't in the seats in front of me. Did that mean she was behind me? I didn't look back. I couldn't do something that would attract so much attention. Damn it! This was so frustrating. Was she in the room or wasn't she? I didn't feel the prickling on my neck. Nobody was looking at me. I couldn't sense anybody's gaze. Was she here? Was she not here? Which? I stared down at my desk, trying to see if I could sense her somehow. Then I heard the sound of the teacher coming into the room. I forgot their name. It was Tsukaji or Tsukada or something, I think. It was the phys ed teacher, and he was a huge meathead. But he didn't yell or do any physical punishment either. If anything, he was the kind of teacher who could take a joke. There was a mild murmur of surprise going up and down the classroom, but I was too busy thinking about the demon girl to worry about it. How the hell was I supposed to sense anybody? This wasn't a manga. Was I just stupid?
今日から転校生が入ることになった。
We have a transfer student joining us today. The teacher spoke in a whisper, so that's what the fuss was about.
ほら、折原、みんなに挨拶しろ。
Go on, Orihara. Introduce yourself. I couldn't hear the transfer student's voice. Was she really here? I took a quick glance at the front of the room. Oh, go on. Sure enough, there was a girl there. We're going to go... We'll go green. Be a good way to wrap this up. Those cutesy pigtails. She was really tiny. She might have been smaller than Nanami. She looked kind of weak and timid. She was pretty cute for a 3D girl. Maybe, for some reason, there were tears in her eyes and she was looking down. Time for the delusion, people. If only she was some kind of hero. Sent to defeat a demon girl for me. Rimi's potential presence was weighing down on me so heavily, I was starting to wish for the impossible. My entire life was slowly being taken over. At this rate, I was sure to be killed soon.
だから私が来たの。
That's why I'm here.
The transfer student whispered, staring into my eyes. Did that
匠
mean...
くん、私はここに殺すために来ました。悪魔を滅ぼします。
Takumi, I was sent here to kill. I will destroy the demon.
The transfer student's eyes were teary, but there was an intense power in them. She looked so weak, but her words felt strong. She must have looked like a crazy person to the rest of the class. The other students were all staring at her, uncertain how to react to her strange words. But in my heart, I was overjoyed. I was saved! Some exorcist organization must have sent her to defeat Rimi for me. Hooray! Go get her, please!
タク、騙されないで。
Taku, don't let it trick you.
I could hear the fear in Rimi's voice from behind me.
その転校生の狙いは私じゃない。タクだよ。
The transfer student's not after me. She's after you. Don't listen to her.
悪魔さん、惑わすのはやめなさい。あなたはここで終わりです。
Don't try to deceive him, demon. Your life ends here.
悪魔はあなたでしょ。
You're the demon.
うるさいな。
Shut up. I didn't really care which of them was the demon anymore.
僕はブラチューと演奏をして毎日を平穏に過ごせればそれでいいんだ。お前たちがどうなろうか知ったことじゃない。
I just want to play ESO and watch Bloodtune all day. I don't care about either of you.
とりあえず二人で殺し合ってくれると助かる。で、相打ちで二人とも死亡ってエンディングを希望。
This is not where I saw this going. Just go fight and try to kill each other. Hopefully neither one of you survives. Tension filled the room at my words. A transfer student whose name I didn't even know, and a demon girl who wasn't even part of this class 2 days ago. The two were glaring at each other on the front and back of the classroom, ready to launch themselves into battle. The teacher and my other classmates were just watching, helplessly.
いいよ。タクの言う通りにしてあげる。
Fine. I'll do what you want me to then.
私も異論はないです。
I'm fine with that too.
殺してあげろ。暗殺者。
I'll kill you, assassin.
Oddly enough, this is giving me vibes of a really crack anime I saw called Kill Me Baby, which featured slice of life high school with one of them as an assassin. This is what this is making me think of immediately. By the way, that anime is on crack.
あなたを殺します。悪魔さん。
I will kill you, demon.
The two flung themselves into an epic battle, which of course never actually happened. The transfer student was still standing there timidly, not saying a word. Remy wasn't screaming or crying. I didn't even know if Remy was actually here in the room. The class started to murmur loud as it became clear that the transfer student wasn't going to say a word. The teacher gave her a reassuring pat on her shoulder.
どうやら折原は緊張しているようだな。よし、挨拶はいい。
It seems Arihara's a little nervous. Alright, we can skip the
みん
introductions.
な、この子は折原梢だ。仲良くしてやってくれ。
Everyone, this is Arihara Kozue. Make her feel welcome.
折原、席は一番後ろだ。席についていいぞ。
Arihara, your seat's in the far back row. You can sit down. The transfer student bowed silently and started to walk towards me. Her seat would be 4 rows behind me. I thought about pretending to follow her with my eyes as she walked so I could look back and see who was there. If I did, I'd stand out a lot. Some DQM might see me and say, "Don't stare at a transfer student just because she's cute." Then they try to beat me up. What should I do? Turn around? Or wait until homeroom ended? My head dropped as I squeezed my fist tightly. It was no good. I didn't have the courage. If I turned around and saw her...
Is that person?
Huh?
悪い人なの？だったらね、本当に殺してあげてもいいよ。
A bad person? If they are, maybe I really will kill them for you.
The transfer student passed me. I gasped and looked up at her. Our eyes met, but she quickly turned away and passed me by. That voice was a delusion, right? Maybe I was under so much stress I was starting to lose sight of the distinction between delusion and reality. In the end, I stayed there trembling in my seat, without the courage to look around. I focused on trying to calm my fear of Remy, who I was sure was watching me. Homeroom came to an end as I tried to figure out the answers to the new doubts that were rinsing through my mind. There were 5 minutes until first period started. Misumi was already on his way to the new girl's desk. He was evidently aiming to start hitting on her first day. My other classmates were all curious about her as well. The classroom was a lot noisier than usual. On the surface, it was a peaceful, ordinary day. But to me, it felt like I was in the middle of an enemy camp. My heart was pounding so hard and wouldn't calm down. My whole body felt tense, and it took a lot of courage just to move a single finger. I was fighting the impulse to turn around, with the knowledge that doing so was suicide.
タク？
Taku?
My breathing almost stopped. My mind went blank. The voice was right behind me. She was here after all. She was right here.
具合悪そうだけど、
You don't look so good.
平気？
Are you okay?
Run. Run! I tried to, but my legs were shaking too much to stand up. As I sat there frozen, the demon girl, Sakihata Remy, came around to my front.
汗びっしょり。風邪でもひいたんじゃない？
You're soaking with sweat. Did you catch a cold?
Just like she had 2 days ago, she sounded worried about me. Just like 2 days ago, she offered me a floral-scented handkerchief. I didn't take it in. Instead, I wiped the sweat away with my hands.
なんて
Why?
何？
What?
I couldn't even look at her. I could hear in her voice that she was smiling, though.
ねえねえ、さっき何話してたの？
Hey, hey. What were you talking about with her?
Let's say the way that she's stalking the pink hair is giving me massive vibes of Gasai Yuno from the anime Mirai Nikki, aka Future Diary. I doubt that was an influence because they came out about the same time, so I think that's purely coincidental. But it's interesting. Rimi crouched down and put her hands on the desk, resting her head on them to look at me. She was looking at my face again. I looked away as fast as I could. Damn it. Was she just not going to let me escape no matter what? My heart was about to burst from fear. Somebody save me.
すっごく気になる。
I'm really curious.
What was she even talking about? Who was I talking
転
to?
校生。
The transfer student.
あの子がタクの机の横を通るときに小声でさ、ボソボソーっと。
She whispered something to you when she passed by your desk.
もしかしてあの子と知り合い？
Do you know her?
Rimi was still smiling. Was I imagining it? Or did her voice sound like she was interrogating me?
タクってリアルの女の子に興味ないんじゃなかったっけ？
I thought you weren't interested in real girls.
もしかして本当は興味あるの？
Were you lying about that?
What do you care? Was she trying to find out my some personal information so she could threaten me or something? No, I wasn't into 3D girls. That was something I was always clear about.
じゃあさ
Okay, okay.
私にも実は興味あったりする？
Are you interested in me?
Freezing chill ran down my spine. More sweat was pouring down my forehead, even though I just wiped it away. Was that a threat? Or was she trying to tell me to join her? Or was she trying to act moe and seduce me so she could set me up in a trap? Alarm bells were going off in my mind. I couldn't say another word to the demon girl, or I was doomed.
タク？
Huh? Taku?
I didn't even think about it. I just leapt up out of my chair and ran onto the classroom, tripping over the other students' desks as I went. I ran straight up the stairs of the school building onto the empty roof. The girl didn't seem to be following me, but still, I couldn't relax. I decided to crouch down and hide behind something. My knees were shaking. I was amazed I managed to run like this. Maybe that was just a sign of how desperate I'd been. I couldn't take any more of this reality. Even that D-sword I bought turned out to be useless. I couldn't take it to school. It would stand out too much. I'd let my guard down. When Misumi had told me that Rimi was our classmate 2 Maids ago, I thought it was a lie or a delusion. But she'd really become a classmate. There was no sense in trying to figure out how she'd done it. She was a demon, after all. She could do things that humans couldn't. Maybe she brainwashed the class. Maybe even all the teachers. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't go to the hospital. Yua had been at our cafe, and Shogun had found me online. Her servants were getting closer and closer to me, and they were launching constant psychological attacks too. Maybe I'd do better to just not leave the base. But there were too many enemies outside in reality. They were constantly threatening my peaceful life. I looked up at the blue sky, where the white clouds were flying freely, blown by the wind. If only I could have been one of those clouds. About 3 hours passed. I spent the whole time silently crouched on the ground. For now, nobody seemed to be following me. Only after that was I able to relax. The problem was, what did I do now? Somebody was sure to come here to eat during lunch. Maybe my best option would be to run out of school and back to base during 4th period. It would screw up my schedule. But I didn't have anywhere near the courage to find I need if I wanted to go back to the class with the demon girl waiting. My bag was still there, but I just had to forget about it. The only things in it were books anyway. My important stuff like my wallet and key were in my uniform pocket. Right? I got worried and double checked. Wallet, key, phone. They were all there. Only then did I remember that someone had called me earlier. It really freaked me out when it happened. Not as much as when Remy spoke to me though.
一体誰だ
Who could it be? The only people who could possibly want to call me would be my family. It was most likely Nanami, right? She didn't care about whether she was bothering me or not. Who else would know that number? Oh, I also told it to those detectives. If it was them, maybe I should have picked up. We never did discuss exactly how they were going to send the police officers to guard the base. The LCD display that showed the number of the person who called. 03X733X991. What's with the X? It does have a name that says Ari on the end. I can't make out the kanji, but the two hiragana are Ali. It didn't look like it was Nanami. I noticed I had a voicemail too. Did I recognise that number from somewhere? I decided to check my call history. We'll go red. There were only 5 calls there. In other words, only 5 times had someone called me since I bought my phone, and 3 of them were from Nanami. What about the other 2? There was the one from 5 days ago, and the one just now. Since the number wasn't in my contacts, it wasn't showing up as a name. They were both from the same number, 03X733X991. If they left a message, it must mean that they really wanted to talk to me. It couldn't hurt to listen to a message, right?
楠木優愛です。
This is Kusunoki. Yua.
ごめんなさい。突然お電話しちゃって。
I'm sorry for calling you so suddenly,
ただ、どうしてもお話ししたいことがあって。
but there's something I wanted to tell you.
セイラちゃんの新しいフィギュア、私も買いました。
I bought a Sarah figure,
西
too.
条くんのおかげです。
I was only able to do it thanks to you.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you.
とっても可愛いんですけど、ちょっとエッチですね。
It's very cute, but kinda naughty, isn't it?
買うとき、すごく恥ずかしかったです。
I've been really embarrassed when I bought it.
そうそう、今週のブラチュー見ました？
Oh, right. You saw this week's Blood Tune, right?
すごい展開でしたね。私、見ながらずっとドキドキしちゃって。
It was an incredible episode, wasn't it? I was so excited when I watched it.
この多重人格者、
You schizophrenic.
あなたが殺したの。
You killed her.
人殺し、
Killer.
真犯人、
Criminal.
罪を償いなさい。
Atone for your crimes.
逃がさないから。
I won't let you get away.
その目、誰の目？
Whose eyes are those?
I knew it was just an illusion, and I still felt terrified. It was totally possible that Yua could have gotten my number from somewhere and called me. I didn't really want to listen to the message, but after using the delusion to simulate the worst possible scenario, I was ready to at least try listening to it. I shook off my depression and played the call. Looked around a bunch of times to make sure the demon girl wasn't anywhere nearby, and put the phone up to my ear.
こちらは留守番電話サービスセンターです。
This is your voicemail message. You have one new message.
1件目、10月17日金曜日午前8時28分の伝言です。
First message. Message left on Friday, October 17th at 8:28 a.m.
なんぞこれ
What the heck? What I heard wasn't a voice. It was a melody I knew well. That does actually sound familiar, but I don't know why. It seems to be playing somewhere far off in the distance. The caller might be standing near a traffic light. You heard that melody a lot of crosswalks, to let the blind know the light had changed. The song was called Torianse, by the way. A lot of people knew the melody, but not many knew the lyrics. I knew them, for what it's worth. I learned them in elementary school. I don't remember them completely, but it went something like this. Pass through, what narrow path is this? This is the narrow path of Tenjin. I knew I'd heard this before. It was in an anime called Doomed Megalopolis. Let me walk down the shining road to God. Where does it lead? What is his name? I knew I recognised it. It's from Doomed Megalopolis. For our child's 7th birthday, the going is easy. Hey! It sounded like the way back is beep boop beep boop. It sounded like an ambulance or something. It was probably a coincidence, but still, it was creepy. Huh? Just after the melody cut off, it was sounding like a loud buzzer. The volume was so loud, I yanked the phone away from my ear. What the hell? I fearfully put the phone back to my ear, but the message was over. What was that about? It felt like I heard the earth rumbling at the end too. That buzzer was totally different than the traffic signal. If it was that loud, they must have brought it right up to the phone. A prank call? My heart was racing. Had I done something to piss somebody off? Who'd even made this call? I had the number so I could call back if I wanted to, but didn't have the courage. There was nothing I could do about it anyway. I was still in the middle of something much worse happening to me. Put my phone in my pocket and left the school, watching my surroundings as carefully as I possibly could. And as much of a tease as that's going to be, that is where we're wrapping up for this part. Ooh, yes. So, all kinds of crazy stuff is going on. Prank calls, delusions of grandeur, delusions of new students. What is real and what is inside the dream? The only way we're going to find out more is by keeping an eye out for more Let's Play of Chaos Head Noah. So keep an eye peeled to the chat here for that. The channel. We've also got the coming playthrough of Trails from Zero. I've got a new part for that coming very soon. And there's the ongoing playthrough of Final Fantasy XIV on here as well. I did mention earlier in the video, of course, you can go and check out, if you like your visual novels, go and check out at Queen3210 here on YouTube. Done playthroughs of Steins Gate, done playthroughs of Zero Escape, Danganronpa, Phoenix Wright. So if you like these kind of stories with lots of branching paths and lore, do go check her channel out. You can also go check out ChrisJT1985. Currently got a mix of playthroughs going on there. The ongoing playthrough of Star Wars Outlaws. And of course, there's the big tease of the classic Disney games Lion King and Aladdin coming soon. But as for me, I'm going to go and see what's real. I've got to get out of here. See you all next time.